Welcome back to Heart of a Wife, where we continue on the series of Before the Altar. We're having the honest conversations that help us become the version of ourselves capable of building healthy, lasting love. Today's conversation is one that so many of us can relate to. Have you ever in your life ignored what someone was showing you because you were focused on who they were becoming? Have you ever stayed attached to the potential of a relationship while reality was quietly waving red flags in your face? I know I have. So, to help us unpack why we do that, I'm joined by someone whose work centers around healing, self awareness, and breaking unhealthy cycles. Miss Mahogany is a mental health and family therapist, healer, visionary, and the founder of the Giving Tree Sanctuary. Through her work, she helped individuals, couples, and family navigate healing, relationships, self worth, trauma, communication, and personal growth. Known for her warm, authentic, and relatable approach, she creates space where people can have the hard conversations that lead to real transformation. I have known her for quite some time. She is who I considered one of my homegirls. She is one of the sweetest, one of the most intelligent woman in my phone log. She is one of one. And I am so honored to have her here. I think that I've been asking her to come on a podcast with me for years now. So for this to actually be happening, I am super excited on all the gems that she's about to drop. Today, we're diving into why we sometimes fall in love with potential instead of reality, how unresolved wounds can blind us to warning signs and what it looks like to choose ourselves without losing hope in love. So grab your journals, pour your favorite drink, and join us on this conversation. Welcome to Before the Altar. I missed the red flags because I loved the potential. Featuring Miss Mahogany. Girl, I am glad that you have a drink in your hands
Yes, I'm ready.
because we always start the episode with a pour it out section. How are you?
Yes. I am doing well. I'm in my healing season, but I'm doing well. I have been trying to continue, excuse me, my building process because even though I am a therapist, the growth process does not change for us, for you guys. So I'm doing okay.
I could see that. So, as I told you, this episode is Before the Altar. The red flags we've missed because we were loving potential. And I think this is something that a lot of women go through. The parts of them where they're sitting there and there's so much potential in a person and you see and you want to kind of engage with that. And it's a thin line between loving potential and loving what is.
Yes.
And
And
that's
here's an important thing
mhm.
that I would like for people to understand is that potential is not a characteristic. Potential isn't something that you weigh a person against. I think that when we meet people, we all see potential. We
Mhm.
see who they could be. And what happens to a lot of us is we get caught in the illusion of who they could be instead of who they are now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I love that you said it like that because it's more, is it really potential or is it my fantasy version of my list? And how I'm
Mm.
computing it to being like, oh, they have the potential to be what I want, my list.
Mhm, mhm.
So it isn't even about the person, it's about the fantasy person that I already have created in my mind. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that when we meet a person, very often we look at them to see where they could fit in our lives, how they could fit in our lives. And I think that some of us get stuck there instead of, if this person didn't change, would you be able to accept them today as
Mhm.
they are? And that is always the thing that will bring you back to reality. Sometimes that picture, that movie, that thought that keeps playing in our head, um, that you have to remind yourself that isn't reality. You have to come out of that to be able to fairly gauge what you are seeing in front of you. Yes, ma'am.
Listen, yes, when you said that you have to sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you said that potential is not a character trait. You
Mm-hmm.
can't measure it in the sense of like you can measure, is this person respectful? Is this person kind? We
Mm-hmm.
navigate potential where potential doesn't even exist yet. We're so far ahead.
Correct.
It's up in the air.
The other thing is that potential, just because you see potential in a person doesn't mean that this person is going to actually reach that potential. You may see it, they may see it, but it doesn't mean that they're going to reach that potential. And that's why I said, if you can't look at the person and say to yourself that if they never change, what I see today, I would be able to live with forever. And a lot of times we get caught in our own delusion, get caught in our own wants and desires. One thing I teach my clients is that your wounds pick your partners. You know, your wounds that you have not healed, it's a very big part of how you choose your partners because what you haven't healed, you're going to attract. You're gonna naturally go after. And that's how we
Mhm.
miss the red flags. Sometimes we are the red flag. Our wounds are the red flag. And we gotta be honest about that. It's not always
Mhm.
everybody else. And sometimes it's just our wounds. And we gotta be able to look at our wounds in a way that allows us to heal them so that we get to pick our partners intentionally and purposefully instead of allowing our wounds, our unmet needs, and potential choose our partners.
You hit the nail on the head when you said it's our wounds that pick the partner. A lot of the times it's so easy to see the red flags in others versus sitting here and looking in the mirror, looking at the red flags in you, how you show
Mhm,
up and how you're choosing to pick this person. Cause that was a choice. This person
mhm,
didn't magically appear here and decide, you have to speak to me. You opted into this. And
mhm, mhm.
then I feel like we set that same person up for failure when we have these expectations of them off the bat. This is how you have to show up. This is who you have to be. This is what
Mhm.
this looks like without having conversations truly on who are you in front of me. I think
Right.
that especially in dating, a lot of women and men have taken out the joy of enjoying a company. Say, I
Mhm,
just want to get
mhm,
to know
mhm.
you.
But you know what? Here is the important piece. Any of my clients that come to me, who are in a relationship, the truth of the matter is that chemistry does not equal compatibility.
Hmm.
You can have chemistry with somebody and they can still be emotionally unavailable. The chemistry is what ignites the attraction. That's those strong feelings that we feel when we first meet somebody and they're oh so interesting. But you have to understand what you're actually feeling. It's chemistry.
Hmm.
Oh, but that does not mean that you are compatible with that person. That does not mean that that person is emotionally available to meet the needs that you have. And so a lot of times we look at or we choose to stay stuck in that illusion, that potential of what they could be. Yeah, they're showing me inconsistency right now, but in time, things could get better, or we just need to get to know each other. And that might be the case. But I think the important thing that a lot of us miss are The fact that the red flags that you are ignoring most times are showing you a person's pattern. And
Mhm.
patterns are what we commit to, because patterns show you who a person is. They can tell you all day who they are, but their patterns will show you who they are. You don't want to marry potential. You want to marry patterns.
Amazing wording to that. And you really don't want to marry potential. Potential doesn't exist, like we said earlier. Potential is anybody could become anything, good or
Hmm.
bad. The
Choose to. That's the
probability,
thing.
because
They
then
gotta
you're
want
not
to do the
saying,
work.
hmm
They have
and a
to
lot of
want to do the work.
correct. A lot of people want to sit here and say, oh, they have the potential, but you're only seeing the potential of the good. Because it's not even like you're
Hmm.
painting the full picture of what possible liabilities this person could have. You're just highlighting one portion of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
how does that look?
And not only are you only highlighting one portion, a good, um, a good, let's say, timing of judgment is, can you see them? Have you seen them all 4 seasons?
Mhm.
And winter, and I'm not talking about just the physical season, but a lot of people, when they meet people, they don't have conversations like, who do you become in conflict? Like, are you disrespectful when
Mhm.
you get angry? Are you able to regulate your emotions? Are you looking to me to regulate your emotions? Because co-regulation is a thing. However, I want to see what you know outside of me. How do you take care of
Yes.
yourself outside of this relationship? Those are the patterns that I'm looking for. Is self-care important to you? When the world becomes too much, how do you take care of yourself? Those are the things that are important to me.
I also view characteristics as something big. Before I had rose colored glasses on a lot of my relationships, but I also do notice that as someone gets older, gain more experience, the tolerance for certain things are slim to none, especially when you already have peace
Yeah.
within your life.
For those who have not achieved or experienced what peace feels like, they can't understand why other people are willing to
Mhm.
not engage, not participate, cut you off. Because those of us who have experienced peace, we know that it came at a price. We know that we worked hard on ourselves, on our environments, in our social relationships, and our family relationships. So some of us is dealing with stuff that's not even ours. So this is the family pattern that we are trying to fix, that I'm trying to heal. I want my life to look different than my mother's or my grandmother's.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's kind of like you've got to be able to know what you will and what you won't accept and stand on it 10 toes down. I used to feel bad for choosing me because I grew up during a
Mhm.
time when we were taught that you put other people before you. You put other
Yes.
people's needs before you. And putting me or thinking about me was looked at as selfish. Well, no, I don't. I no longer believe that, because if I don't look out for my mental health and I don't look out for my heart, then who will?
Exactly. I dated a lot of potentials. They had the potential to fly to the moon and they never did. They never reached there. But I also, in that process, I had to look back in why was I dating potential, right? What was it in me that kept on creating a false narrative than what was presented in front of me? And going back to like self reflection, I realized that it had a lot to do with my own abandonment issues of how I didn't want to abandon somebody, how I felt broken and I didn't want to be judged by being broken and I wanted to be chosen. So I don't have to highlight the red flags because I can love them to
That good
submission.
old 80-20 rule.
Yes,
That good old 80-20 rule that they teach us about. Like, you gotta be in a place where you can look at yourself. If you look back at your relationship history, I'm talking about the people you have ended up with, it reflects how you felt about yourself. And for some people, that is a hard pill to swallow. because after the relationship is over, it's like, oh, you have so many bad things to say about this person. However, you are the one who chose that person, and you got to sit with that, sis,
Mhm.
bruh. You got to sit with that when we begin to look at our own patterns, not just being monitoring everybody else's, but what type of folks are you choosing? Because I
Mm.
realize that the type of love I give, there are there's some folks that they're not used to experiencing that, and I'm okay with that. I
Yes.
don't believe when people say, well, treat people how you want to be treated. I don't. I absolutely don't. And I'll tell you why. I may have a higher standard than you. And if my standard is higher than what you currently have for yourself, you're not going to be able to receive it. So what I am
Mhm.
going to do is treat you the way I see you treat you. That in itself should say a lot because how you take
Yes.
care of you, how you love other people in your life, like I should be able to look at that and see where I fit into your life. A lot of people want to be in love, but I don't hear people being specific enough with their words to say, I want to be in healthy love. Because you can be in love, but it's
Exactly. It
just a
don't have to
toxic,
it don't mean you could be crazy in love.
right?
You could be in love
Right.
in a ditch. There could be a whole lot of love in a lot of places, but yes, you're right. I don't think that a lot of people talk about. I want to desire a healthy love. I
Mhm,
desire
mhm,
it to look
mhm.
different than anything else that I have not experienced. I was in love properly from the beginning of my time. I talk about
Right.
it all falls back into like parents
Yes.
dynamic. So I had a false sense of love from the beginning.
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't false, but you have to look at what they taught you. I
Mhm.
always ask my clients, what were your positive point of references growing up? And what a lot of people know is I didn't have any. My parents were was dysfunctional, or they weren't married. I seen a lot of fighting or yelling growing up, and so a lot of us didn't have positive point of references. Some of us had some. We had our grandparents or whoever in our caretaking circle. You might have got one
Yes.
in the whole family, but a
Yes.
lot of us didn't have it. So coming into relationships, we are going off of how we were loved as a child. A lot of us
Mhm.
who had parents who were inconsistent, a lot of us had parents who were not emotionally available. Some of us had parents who were narcissists. So then you enter into relationships based on how people loved you when you were smaller. You can't
Yes.
help that, but what you can do is heal it. Some people were
Mhm.
abused. Some people grew up in the foster system. Some people didn't have a relationship with their parents. So again, you've got to figure out what your needs are, what your wounds are, so that you do the work inside of you so that you
Mhm.
can then align with the type of relationship you want to have. You get to create the relationship. I tell people, I don't know what this sliding in and sliding out stuff is. Can we have a conversation about some things? Because the truth of the matter is, you saw that that man or woman couldn't pay his bills when y'all was talking.
There you go.
What made you think that he was self-sufficient enough to be able to take care of himself and you? Well, I feel bad. I don't want, you know, disqualify somebody. But here's the thing, when you go for a job interview, if you don't meet the requirements, you will not be hired.
That part.
And so, how do we have these different standards in other areas of our life, but we don't guard our heart like that? One of the things I do with my clients is we make a dating metric. This dating metric is just for you, it's not for anybody else. But what are the things that you are looking to see at every level? That's how you slide in. It's like, well, did y'all have a conversation about this when y'all was just talking? Oh, no, we didn't have a conversation about that. Well, why not? If that was important to you and those are things that you hold value for, why are we not talking about it? If there's something in you that is scared when you go to talk to somebody, that's a red flag. Why is it
Mhm.
that you don't have safety? Because here's the thing, in order to connect to somebody with vulnerability and all those things, you got to feel safe.
Mhm.
If the person that you're talking to doesn't know what safety is, then that's problematic. They don't know how to
Yes.
provide an environment that makes you feel safe communicating, makes you feel safe sharing, provides safety in being vulnerable, and it's not going to be held against you the first time we get in an argument.
Yes.
These are all red flags that a lot of times we don't pay attention to.
We choose to ignore it. It's not
Yeah,
a big red flag,
yeah.
it's little. And even sometimes that there's some things that disguise themselves as good things, but actually are red flags. So later on in life or later on in the relationship, where clients say, "Oh, well, when I met him, he was a workaholic. I loved that about
Mhm,
him. He was doing that." But then when they're deep in their relationship, that's the same thing that they're complaining about.
mhm,
This man is a
mhm,
workaholic. He has no time for me. He has no affection for me. And so what was
mhm.
once good for you, what was once
Right.
attracted, now consider a red flag in your book.
I agree. I also think that when we get to a place where we really like somebody, we start negotiating. Why are we negotiating with this? If this is an issue or you see this now, this should be something that we are talking or working against or working toward or finding a solution. A lot of people, once they get into relationships and things like that, they know how to fight, they know how to argue, but a lot of people don't know how to get to a resolve. Well, how did you resolve that? Those are things that you want to pay attention to when you're dating somebody. Can we as a couple get to a resolve, or do we just move on and just not talk about it? Those are red flags. Most
Yes.
people may not identify them as red flags, but the fact that you can't deal with conflict, or every time I express something to you, you gaslight me, or
Mhm.
you turn the tables and make me the problem instead of actually. I tell couples that when we listen, you should actually be listening with curiosity. What are you trying to really communicate to me here? What is the underlining issue? But that also means that you have to be able to communicate, not
Mm,
attacking the person, but attacking the problem. So when
the
I say
problem.
in the conflict, the first time we get into an argument or when you get triggered, are you calling me out my name? Or can we communicate like adults? And I can tell you this affected me. It had this impact on me. Not me attacking you or blaming you, but hey, listen, this behavior, not you, but this behavior impacted me in a way that made me feel insecure, or it made me feel triggered. It
Mhm.
triggered me, my anger, or it triggered that insecure version of me that's not healed. You got to be able to own your own shit when you are dealing with people and communicate that. Those are all red flags. A lot of times we look at the red flags of other people, but sometimes we ourselves are walking red flags.
That part. And we all are. Once you recognize that there are red flags in me, I tell my clients, I'm looking for the fruit of what somebody else produced in me because I'm not looking for
What
other
version of
people's
me
red
did you pull out?
flags. But what version of you do you activate in me? That's how I evaluate like
Listen,
connections.
I tell people if you have never experienced the soft version of me, it's because you've never made me feel safe. Because that's when the soft version of me comes out. Or you got the soft version of me, and somewhere in that connection slash relationship, you made me feel unsafe. So now I can't be soft with you. I'm a little bit more aggressive. I'm from Southwest Philly, okay? And if you trigger that in me, it's going to come out. But here's what I know, my pop up queen doesn't come out unless she is triggered. She comes out to protect me. So anytime you get the pop off version of me, well, that's who you have triggered. Well, I give people fair warning. I don't want you to know that side of me. Stay on the soft side. Stay on the
Hello, you're
side.
here. We're good here. Why would you ever want to
Right,
indulge
right.
in the
Why
other
would you
side?
go on the other side? Once you lose that version of me, you will never get it again. It's
Ugh,
impossible. Why? Because your patterns have shown me that I'm not safe with you. I'm
which
telling
is
you how I feel, and you're criticizing what I'm saying to you. Like, no, you're not gonna get that version of me twice.
I fully agree with that. But then I also seen it in the flip side of it all depends, right? I was on a live before that they said, is it true forgiveness if you don't leave them with at least a space to actually make it up to you? I forgive you, but then cut them off completely.
In some cases, I think that forgiveness first is for you so that you are able to heal. I don't need anybody else's validation for me to forgive a person. Now, if I forgive you and I allow you to come back into my life, you got to know that you have to come back different. Oh, you can't come back the same. And how do I know that? Your patterns.
Mm.
You naturally show up different. What will you do with the opportunity of forgiveness? If somebody opens their heart, their life, their space for you to re-enter, one, you got to do it with accountability and knowing that this person may still be healing, this person may have been affected and still working through. Like, you got to be aware of all of that. Forgiveness and re-entry are two different things. I can forgive you and you still not entry or access to me. I mean, because that's what people really want is access. They want to know that they still mean what they mean to you. They want to know that you still like them. They want to know, and that's access. But if you have done something, betrayed me, violated my trust, and I have to make a decision on whether to let you back into my life, I tell a lot of couples who are dealing with working infidelity, this is not about the other person proving to you because you're going to do just as much work as they are going to do because it's not easy being able to let people come back and not throw things up or being triggered, by things. Every time you go out, I'm triggered because you cheated on me. And now I got 18,000 questions every time you leave my presence. Or I think my presence is going to change. Like, yeah, you got work to do too. So making the choice to forgive someone and allow re-entry, well, yeah, that's a choice that should not be made by just one person. Both people need to know if they are up.
I fully agree with you on that. I love that you said that even in infidelity, two parties have to work together, have to do the work. One, it might look different, but they each are doing some work because even
Absolutely.
the party that didn't cheat still has to now say, well, if I opt into forgiveness or if I opt into working this out,
Hmm.
it does not qualify me to sit here and call that person out their name. It does not qualify me to be able to always bring up the infidelity. Like, it looks different.
Hmm. Hmm.
Betrayal changes you in a way. There's a big impact on it. So,
And
yeah,
I tell one of the things that I tell people, one of the first questions I ask them is, "What's your shared vision?" And they usually look at me sometimes like, "Huh?" It's like y'all are in a relationship, but what is your shared vision? What are y'all working towards? Why are we here? Okay, so we like each other. Hey, but where are we going? What is the goal here? What are you working from? Because what happens is there should be shared definitions, there should be shared values, shared beliefs, and a shared vision in any and every relationship that proceeds beyond the talking stage. Because exactly what are we doing? And what I teach clients is that having a shared vision, that is what you operate out of in a relationship. So if you are preparing for marriage, I have a couple of couples that I'm working with now who are preparing for marriage. Okay, we know that the shared vision is a healthy marriage. How do we
yes.
communicate that? How do we achieve that? How do we align your goals to reflect that. And if you can't
Mhm.
tell me what your shared vision is with a person, and how do you get to a shared vision? By starting with your shared values. You as an individual come to the table of what your values are. The other person comes to the table with what their values are. And then you look and see how many of those values are shared. And the ones that are shared, those are the shared values for the relationship. That's where you create your boundaries from. That's where you create all of those things that most people, when they are just starting out in relationships, these are not the conversations that we are having. We want to know where you want to go for dinner. But when we get there, what we talking about?
Yes.
You know,
Dating nowadays, the process of dating, especially in the beginning, goes wrong is that we're not actively even asking the right questions. But then again, I also do feel like in the back end, we're not actively knowing ourselves
and here's
fully.
the thing. I'm gonna be honest. Some people don't know the questions to ask. But I love working with couples. Like it is like my bread and butter. I That's why I do workshops. That's why I do retreats because I do realize that a lot of us were not taught these things. We don't
Oh,
know the questions to ask somebody when we just meet them, and those things, that chemistry, is right here in front of our face, and we just got the feelings because oh, they cute and they respond. They slid in my DMs and responded to me, and we get distracted by all of those things. And that's a part of the individual work that you do. Find the resources. Don't keep repeating the same patterns, expecting a different result. Like, look at the last three relationships you've been in. I'm sure that there's some patterns on your end too.
that
Hmm.
it again, this is why I like that you mentioned the dating metrics because the way that you speak about the dating metrics, it's really the journey of knowing yourself in dating and
Hmm.
how you navigate
Hmm.
yourself, how you
Yep.
show up. That's more than half the battle when you truly know who you are. Wait a minute, I'm a lover girl. Lord, don't place this man in front of me
Right.
because I might fall in love in 2 seconds because I'm a lover girl.
Correct.
Versus saying, like, oh, because
Yep.
I know I'm a lover girl, I need to come
Mhm.
this way and I need to
Girl, he's saying
filter
all the
myself.
things that need to say. He's saying all the things. She's saying all the things, in my ear that, she's going to be this or he's going to be this and all these promises. And what the dating metric helps you do, one, is slow down. You can
Mm,
have those feelings and still go at a pace that allows you to see what is happening right in front of you and not the illusion or the picture that is in your head. But here's the thing, it happens to the best of us. Sometimes those pictures and those feelings are bigger than the knowledge that we have. And we fall into traps. But having something like the dating metric, it starts on the initial stage when you first meet somebody, whether that is online, whether that is in person. Like, what do you need that exchange to be? What do you need to see? And past that initial place, what does this person have to show you in order to get to the talking stage? What do you
mm,
need to feel as far as safety and things of that nature? If it's somebody online, how long do you talk to them before you decide to give them your number or you decide to FaceTime them? That's what the dating metric is. It allows them, whoever's using it, to be able to slow down and be able to look at some things. One of the things I teach my clients is there needs to be a question at the end of every level. What requirements do they have to meet to be promoted or have access at the next level? Because at the next level, they get more benefits out of you. They get more
mhm,
things out. What are you willing to give emotionally, physically, sexually, or financially? What are you willing to give at each stage? You got to know how much you're willing to give. There's some people who don't really share, their backgrounds or their things that they've gone through until they know that they feel comfortable with you. There's some kind of safety there. Well, for a lot of people, that doesn't happen at the initial stage. That may happen at the stage after we're talking, or for some people, during the talking stage. But just being able to, like you said, know yourself, know what you can give, know what you are offering, what you're bringing to the table, not just assessing them, but am I trying to be emotionally connected to this person at that level? When you are looking at this dating metric, hello, can you stay in the rain? I know about me. I am a runner. But listen here, I gotta do some healing because you can't run from everything. So I'm working my own stuff out. But I also realized that there hasn't been anybody, one, who has stopped me from running, but not their responsibility. However, I also know that if I feel like, yeah, I'm out, I'm not gonna waste my time. No, because what I do realize is that my time is precious. And in a lot of
There you go.
instances, my time is money. So if you don't have it or if you ain't got it, all right. Again, I am not getting wrapped
Listen,
up in potential.
this is
You
great
never
that we're
could be.
talking because I could sit here and especially since I know you for years, I could let it all
Okay,
out.
you
This is
didn't
what
see
gets
me
me
do
upset with people is that when I'm in my peace, I'm doing all bad by myself. I ain't even looking to date. I ain't even looking to talk to nobody. I didn't call you, sir, and I don't know who sent you. Then you come into my
it.
life. You disrupt my peace. And then you have me in the clouds. Even with me knowing me, again, I make a joke out of it. But sometimes the desire that we want is so grand
Mhm.
and we
Mhm.
feel like we're running out of time that we put ourselves in predicaments. And I say, it be mean, but I
Yeah.
didn't call forth for this person to come through. I didn't say,
You may
I'm
not have
looking for.
called, but guess what did? The loneliness, your unmet need, your desire for companionship. It's like when we are single, there is like an invisible halo that says, yep, this is what I need. And what you need is usually always going to appear. But then that's when those of us who are doing the work, it might appear to you, but are you going to take it? Are you going to make a different choice? Are you going to choose intentionally to love yourself differently?
Mm-hmm.
And listen, let's be real about this. It takes some of us a couple of go rounds to get it.
It takes.
But hopefully, if you are doing the work on yourself and you're being honest and you're looking at your patterns, that's what's going to help you get it. That is what is going to help you to know that, like, all right, I see this time I am liking what this person could be if they became this potential. But let me ground myself and be in who they are now, what they're showing
Correct.
me. Yeah.
I ask questions to my clients on like, what does love look like to you? Or how does it feel like?
Mm,
What is your definition of a provider? What is your definition of how a husband will show up, how a wife will show up? Because
mhm,
in all basics, a lot of this misconception or a lot of the things that happen relational wise is just that we see things differently. We're not going into, let's be honest, dating somebody and asking, so what kind of provider are you?
mhm,
What does provision mean to you?
mhm,
How
mhm.
does that look like? Because I'm not talking about only money wise.
But
I'm
that's
saying,
the
are you
whole.
providing a safe space? Are you providing me comfort when I need it? Are you providing anticipation on how
Mhm.
you're going to know my emotions? And some
Correct.
days it's going to be high and some days it's going to be low. But are
Mhm,
you providing that space where I could be me and not be judged?
mhm,
Like provision is just not that one thing. A lot of the times, especially in this society, we see it labeled as one stuff. We thinking, oh,
mhm,
everybody should know that what provision is to its core when everybody ain't the same. Everybody didn't grow up the same. They didn't have the same experience. They didn't have the same examples.
You're right. The shared definition. Just because that's what you feel like is a provider doesn't mean that that's my definition of a provider. But maybe together with me sharing mine and you sharing yours, we can come up with a shared definition that we operate from.
Me and you had this talk before when we spoke about the 10 commandments of our
Mhm.
relationship.
Mhm. Mhm. The
I still
non-negotiables.
remember that because I was like, that is true. Like, I have
Mhm.
never sat there and ask somebody like, okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna apply in both ends on how we want this relationship to look? And
Yeah,
let's put this as the stepping stone or the foundation from the start
yeah.
that will guide this relationship.
Because a lot of people think that, oh, it'll come later, or, I don't want them to look at me funny because we're talking about that early. Well, how do you know if you're aligned with this person? How do you know what they believe is aligned with what you believe? And if we wait, the
Mhm.
longer we wait, the harder it is going to be to detach if we're not aligned. And I think that when it comes to marriage, listen, a lot of people end up in marriages with people they're not aligned with. And you knew you wasn't aligned before the marriage, but you didn't have enough heart to tell that person, I can't go through with this. Or I don't think we should do this. Thinking that, oh, it'll get better.
Hello, my
Listen,
name is Tatiana, and I'm those people.
listen, I was just going to say, when I tell you that I look back on my life and I thank God, like, all right, Lord, you saw it and I did. I know I signed that marriage certificate, but you saved me just a nick of time. You know what I mean? Because the truth of the matter is that we were not aligned in areas that we needed to be aligned to go into a marriage. And it's just like, but I was so focused on being a good wife, providing the right environment.
There you
And
go.
oh, I thought we had time. No, that was my big thing. I thought we had time. Once
Mm.
we get married, we got forever. What did Michelle say? I'm just asking for a couple of forevers. We got forever. We could deal with that after we get married. And then the truth of the matter is that after you get married, nothing changes. And so
Something
my advice to people would be just be intentional.
I fully agree. Intentionality plays a big role. A lot of people don't really speak about the cost of dating potential, the cost of missing red flags, what it costs you to
For a lot
have
of
that
people, it costs you
delay.
yourself because you self-abandon. You abandon
Mhm.
those things that are important to you. You abandon your own personal standards. You abandon what you wanted coming into this relationship. Sometimes love isn't enough, and we don't want to be honest about that. There are other things that go into a relationship outside of love: respect, honesty, consistency, patterns. All those things go into creating a healthy relationship.
That is so true.
Go ahead. Yeah, if you're with somebody right now, don't panic and think that you made the wrong decision. Right? It is never too late to begin the conversation, to start having the right conversation. So don't think it's too late if you're with somebody now and you're like, Dad, we didn't talk about none of these things. Start from where you are. It's never too late. Married people, your job is never done because as individuals, you grow every single day. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of people get married when they are young. You are not the same person at your 25-year anniversary, at your 30-year anniversary. You're not the same person you were when you married. And so, how has your relationship evolved to match what who you have become? And I'm not talking about just in the marriage, but as a person. One of the things I say to women is you got married in your 20s or your 30s, and now you're in your 50s. Like, it's going to look different because, first of all, you're different mentally, you're different physically. Your body is going through life changes, and that affects your marriage. How does your husband feel that you're going through perimenopause or menopause or those things? And so you're not going to be the same person. But if you are continuing to work on you, then your marriage evolves with you. Your spouse evolves with you. But the work, oh no, the work doesn't stop just because the priest or the justice of the peace said, I now declare you man and wife or husband and husband. No, that's actually when work starts. You got to continue to maintain this so that you have longevity. So, yeah, don't think just because you're married that you ain't got to do.
As we close today's conversation, I hope you're walking away with this reminder. Love should never require you to ignore reality in order to keep hope alive. Potential is beautiful, but healthy relationships are built on patterns, character, consistency, and what is actually being demonstrated, not simply what could be. The more we heal, the more we've learned to honor what is instead of attaching ourselves to what we hope someone will become. A huge thanks to my friend, Miss Mahogany, for sharing her wisdom, insights, and heart with us today. If this conversation encouraged you, even the slightest, challenged you, or helped you see something differently, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a review wherever you're listening or watching. Share this episode with a friend, sister, or someone who may need this message today. And if you're not ready to connect with us, follow Heart of a Wife on social media for more conversations about love, healing, relationship, and becoming the person who can sustain the love they desire. Until next time, remember, becoming a wife starts long before the wedding day. It begins in the decisions you make, the healing you embrace, and the standards you choose to uphold today. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode of Heart of a Wife.